From the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington, exclusively at WrestlingObserver.com, you're listening to The Bryan and Vinny Show with your hosts, Brian Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
All right, it's the Bryan Vinny Show here Tuesday with Craig, I might add. August 7, 2018, figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com. Raw and Nitro 19 years ago this week. Two great shows, believe it or not. Have we ever said that?
Been a while.
It's been years.
I liked them.
I thought they were awesome. I thought this was a week where it felt like the Monday Night Wars were awesome. I'd say 90% of the time over the last 2 years, we've said that they sucked.
Yeah.
Maybe they finally turned around.
It was two great crowds, that's for sure.
Yeah, Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, who knew?
I need to run a promotion in Boise, Idaho.
I suggested in my report here at one point that WCW should have purchased this building, renamed it the Nitro Dome.
They should have bought Idaho.
Can't be that much.
They bought Idaho.
My family's from Idaho, everyone. I know what I'm speaking
Mine
of here.
too.
Yeah.
I used to go to Blackfoot, Idaho every single summer because that's where our family was at. A lot of them are still there. Trust me, you could buy Idaho. And if they would have run out of Boise, Idaho every week, they'd probably still be in business today. I have no proof otherwise.
Well, let's get into this.
Cool
then.
discussion, everybody.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. See, we're all in a good mood today.
We're doing Raw first, right?
Oh, my God. Help him, Craig.
Yes, Vinny, we're doing Raw
Thank
first.
you. Craig's going to be my new intermediary for you.
All right. Retro Raw number 324, August 9th,
That'll give him something to do.
1999. The Millennium arrives in 1 hour and 25 minutes, everybody.
I was wrong last week when I thought it was 25 minutes. Which, by the way, if you're on Raw and you saw that clock, Rock was the only guy smart enough to come out at 1 hour and 20 minutes.
I guess so.
Nobody else thought to come out at that point in time.
And be there for the big reveal?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Rock, he came out to open the show. And as he comes out, Big Show is shown backstage. He wants to go confront him, but Taker holds him back and says, let's hear what he has to say.
Let's have him entertain us.
Let him entertain us.
He entertained me, all right. Made fun of Big Show for being fat, slow, dumb.
Some of your best material was stolen from this promo.
Kind of. I used Pig Show. He used Big Slow.
You often used Big Slow as well.
I guess I may have, but I liked Pig Show better. It was funnier.
You're right, Brian. You are funnier than The Rock.
Listen, Rock's got better delivery.
You don't say. I'm going to write that down.
If I did a poll, which is a funnier name for Paul White? Big Slow or Pig Show?
Big Slow.
Guaranteed Pig Show's going to win. It's guaranteed. You don't count, Craig. I've made fun of your weight, so you don't get a vote. You either, Vinny. And Rob's mic is shut off, so he doesn't even get a vote.
If you're going to DQ the votes of everyone you ever called fat, there'll be like 3 people voting.
Hey, They'll all say Pig Show.
Yeah, that argument did not do me any favors, did it?
No.
Anyway, so he's making fun of shows, grunting and roaring, and finally Show and Taker are not entertained, I guess.
I couldn't believe it. I was laughing uproariously.
They come out to kill him. Rock makes it clear he will not run from anyone. Well, he should have.
Yes.
He should have run from the dead man and the giant. They destroyed him. X-Pac runs out. He gets destroyed. Road Dogg comes out. He gets destroyed. Kane hits the ring, does better than anyone else, and finally Big Show and Taker must flee this 4-on-2 beating.
Yeah, 4-on-2 advantage babyface. Kane lumbering down to the ring was the highlight of this segment here. This guy can't run. I mean, he can sort of run.
X-Pac and Road Dogg looking like complete geeks.
Yes.
Kane runs like a Sasquatch, if you picture one of them running.
I mean, when I picture Sasquatch, I picture something much like Kane.
Yeah, just not in a costume.
Right. Or on fire.
You don't know that.
I'm pretty sure, Craig.
Okay.
Although there have been reports of Bigfoot in clothes.
No.
Yes. They're very, very rare.
Well, isn't he covered in fur anyway?
Well, yeah, but...
What would be the point?
I mean, so are you.
So
Not like that.
Who mistaken the hippie for Bigfoot?
That's the point. It's like, that's probably mistaken identity would be my guess.
Okay.
That's unlikely to be a bear. You know what I mean?
It's got a shirt on?
Yeah.
Odds are slim.
I'm telling you, it's just a hippie looking for mushrooms in the woods.
Could be.
A limo arrived backstage, and as it pulled in, all I could think is, they have done a lot of angles over the years on this specific entrance ramp at this building in Chicago. It's very familiar.
I think it's every entrance ramp we've ever seen.
Or it could be that every entrance ramp
on any show.
in every building looks exactly the same.
Yes.
They're saying Jesse Ventura is in the limo, but instead Shawn Michaels steps out. Had a commercial for StoneCold.com, which actually will now redirect you to Austin's page at WWE.com.
Really?
They still own it.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Cole interviews X-Pac and Kane backstage. X-Pac says he is back from his concussion. He is just taking care of some unfinished business with the help of two other guys. And then the Acolytes and the tag team titles are the next unfinished business on deck. Christian versus Gangrel. I don't know. What,
Here's the thing.
Okay.
They have conditioned me to have zero patience for a match that goes more than 30 seconds with a finish.
Right.
This is bad, okay?
Sure.
There's no reason I should have disliked this Christian Gangrel match. But I'm watching it, and they just kept fucking wrestling. And I'm so bored. I felt like Vince Russo.
Think of that, everybody. He was bored watching wrestling on a wrestling show.
This might have
Yes.
gone 4 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, but that's what they have done to this show.
Yes.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yes, he's right. Nobody wants to watch a long match on this show because you've ruined wrestling for anybody watching this show. I can watch long matches on Nitro. I watch long matches on Raw. You know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. Because on Raw, it's a bunch of 30-second matches with shit finishes. Do you know what happens most of the time when they go 4 minutes or 6 minutes?
Same finish.
You get the
shit
same
finish.
goddamn shit finish. So it's like, why am I wasting my time? Just get to it. On Nitro, at least sometimes outside the main event, we'll get a finish. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Nobody wants to watch a long match on Raw. This bored me half to death for 4 minutes.
I like that the crowd was chanting that Gangrel sucked. Bloodsucker.
Yeah.
Of course he sucks.
Thanks, Vinny.
So the Hardy Boys run out. It was, in fact, his shit finish. Hardy Boys run out. Christian attacks them. When he gets back in the ring, Gangrel spits blood in his eyes and pins him. And I like to think was, man, last week on Raw, there was actually a lot of really good wrestling. I'll miss that show.
And 50-50 booking for mid-card geeks. Nothing ever changes
Yes,
in
also
this
true.
company.
Also true. So Christian gets triple teamed by Gangrel and the Hardys. Edge runs out. He gets triple teamed. Michael Hayes runs out. He gets triple teamed. There was more action after the bell than in the match.
Basically, the Hardys and Christian and Edge have just swapped places.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hardys beat up Michael Hayes. Mm-hmm. At least they cared enough to write him out of the storyline. Mm-hmm. And the other note that I got in this match is Jeff Hardy did the old senton, where he takes most of the impact on the ground.
I see, yeah.
And only his head hits the guy. Mm-hmm. Those days are long gone.
You can tell he was feeling good because as he was approaching the ring, he got up on the ring apron and he got knocked off and he took a flip bump to the floor on the outside.
Now he's all fucked up, and so he jumps off the top and squashes his opponents, like I did one time in my life. I've heard about it now for 19 years.
Sounds about right.
Worth it. Acolytes agreed to defend the belts against Kane and X-Pac, and they called out Taker and Big Show 2. Jesse Ventura was shown walking backstage, and then Lawler called him down to the ring for an interview.
I must talk about this interview. Okay. Jesse Ventura in 2018 is like out of his mind. He's a complete crazy man, okay? He's pretty crazy here in 1999. However, Jesse Ventura, first, God bless the guy, he served his country, but he talked about it for 2 hours. He goes on and on and on and on about how great he is and how there's nobody like him and how he's awesome. Finally, he starts talking about the actual stuff that he's here to do. He's going to referee the main event at SummerSlam. Now he's awesome. He points out that this is going to be a professional wrestling match for the World Championship. And the best wrestler is going to leave this wrestling match as the champion of the world. And I am here to make sure there's no shenanigans. One wrestler is going to out-wrestle and pin another wrestler in the middle of the wrestling ring. Great. And you know what else I noticed about it? This was a thing in 1999. That they don't wrestle in WWE.
Oh, yeah.
No, they sports entertain in WWE now.
It's been 19 years, and people have been pissed off about them not calling it wrestling. Mm-hmm. This seems like a fairly new thing, like the last 8, 9, 10 years.
No.
19 years ago, Jesse Ventura is going against the script and saying the word wrestler.
As many times as he can.
Blew my mind.
So he did in here brag about being a Navy SEAL, began to name drop other famous Navy SEALs, made a bunch of references that went over my head, called out people who pretended to be famous SEAL or pretended to be SEALs in other movies and TV shows. And then
Isn't that your job in a movie or TV show to pretend to be something?
Yes. So
I presume he was talking about like Seagal or something like that.
I was thinking Hogan.
one of Hogan's movies, maybe?
Hogan, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm guessing. So eventually Hunter and Chyna interrupted. Jesse warned them to work on their wrestling moves so the best wrestler would win.
Yes, work on your wrestling moves, Triple H. You got a week. Practice those moves.
So Jesse's bragging about hanging out with the president and stuff. Hunter threatens to kick his ass when HBK interrupts.
Yeah, he buries the president earlier, but then brags that he hung out with him, and their picture is on the front page of the New York Times and the LA Times. Politics, Vinny, as he later explained.
He did explain this as all politics. So Sean says, I am the one who brought Hunter into this ring. I'll take you out of this ring. Hunter shoves him. Jesse gets between them, whispers something in Sean's ear. And so Sean books a Triple H, Undertaker, Steve Austin three-way for tonight. I thought this was a very good segment. And
it was awesome.
Jesse was awesome.
It was excellent. Excellent segment.
At this point, a half hour into the show, the world champion Steve Austin showed up for work.
Hey, he's a world champion. I'll give him a bye.
He can get away with things others can't.
None of these other random geeks.
Earlier today, D'Lo Brown took Mark Henry to the park for a run.
Okay, first, they did announce that SmackDown is about to premiere. So, all of these angles they do on Heat, that they never tell us what's going on, you don't got to worry about that for much longer. Heat's on death's door with SmackDown premiering.
Yeah, but now the Eagles be on SmackDown and they never tell us what's going on.
Well, hopefully they'll show us this time.
Wasn't it doing like giant ratings like less than a month ago?
Yeah. But as soon as SmackDown debuts, that becomes the other A show and Heat dies.
Gotcha.
So Mark Henry and D'Lo are out for a run. Mark has to pee, disappears into the woods. A car pulls up. Jeff Jarrett jumps out and attacks D'Lo and drives away.
Jeff Jarrett in sync with Mark Henry's bladder.
Amazing.
Either that or he devoted his whole day to driving out of sight but still behind Mark Henry and D'Lo through this park, waiting. Eventually they'll be separated, and then I can get him.
You know, when you throw a wrestler into the post, we call it he was posted. Mark Henry or D'Lo Brown here was treed.
Jeff Jarrett versus Val Venus.
You got thrown into the tree, Brian.
I understand, Craig. I'm just thinking about your paycheck.
We should talk each other for bad jokes. Bad joke fine.
Jeez, I'll owe you money by the end of the week.
There's one. Jeff Jarrett versus Val Venus. Jeff jumps him at the bell, and the announcers are already ignoring the match. Something's happening backstage, in the locker room. No, in the stairwell.
Who gives a shit exactly where it's at?
I don't know. That's all. That's the only information they had. They didn't know what it was, who was involved, how severe it was. Something has happened somewhere. Right. The only place they have is the location.
Well, thank God this match was immediately over, so we don't have to worry about it.
Deborah tried to distract Val. It didn't work. He had a Blue Thunder bomb for the win anyway. So I guess the whole company is now immune to the effects of Deborah's bosom.
I just love that they do this finish and Jerry Lawler just buries it. He goes, the big issue is we never saw those puppies.
Right.
Who cares about the match?
I'm sure they can distract Val. I mean, he sees them all the time.
Seen quite a few.
Sure.
He doesn't even look at him if he's not getting paid. So, yeah, Val wins. He leaves. Jeff is mad at Deborah. Val returns and saves Deborah. Val and Deborah leave together. Jim Ross calls Val a gentleman, and even Lawler is appalled at this. Cut backstage. Steve Austin is unconscious at the bottom of a stairwell.
So we figured out what happened.
Austin got hurt.
They dropped a cinder block on his head.
That's what we were told. After the break, Austin's loaded into an ambulance. Michael Cole, Master Sleuth, has determined there was a cinder block nearby. It must have been dropped on his head.
It was clearly a vicious, heinous attack. And I know this because I believe Michael Cole said vicious, heinous attack at least twice, maybe 3 times.
Well, first he just called it a heinous.
No, it was vicious and heinous.
I know, but when he started, he said, Austin suffering a heinous, and then he goes on to the next.
A vicious heinous.
No, he did not call it a heinous.
Get out of here. I wrote it down. I'm positive, Craig.
Okay.
Who are you to argue with the sanctity of Brian's notes?
Yeah, you think I'm not paying attention to this idiot? I am. Write down every word he says.
You writing a book someday?
Yeah.
Hunter and Chyna
100
arrive.
things you should know or do as a WWE fan before you die. One of them is mute Michael Cole every time he's on television. Every time there's a vicious, heinous attack.
So Shawn returns to the ring. He calls out Hunter.
To mention Hunter walking up and saying, "Hey, what happened?"
Yes.
He was such a horrendous actor.
Well, there, I gave him a pass there because
He was trying to be a bad actor.
Right.
But like he was bad even by bad acting standards.
Golly, what happened here?
I hope he actually said golly.
No, he didn't.
Damn. So Shawn goes to the ring. He calls out Hunter. Hunter does not show. So Shawn says, "That's it. The triple threat is still on tonight." And this drags Hunter out.
He says, "Get your bony little ass out here." I'm
Yeah,
like, what?
Yes, I don't know.
Have you been gone?
Maybe he thinks it's still 1997 when he was the bigger guy. So Shawn says the 3-way will be Falls Count Anywhere, no DQ, and the SummerSlam title match will be on the line. And Hunter protests, but Shawn doesn't budging. He says, "I will also be the special ref." Hunter says, "Look, you can do whatever you want. Austin's not here. You have no match." Shawn says, "We'll have to find another opponent. Someone who's been living in somebody else's shadow would long for the chance or would jump at the chance to main event SummerSlam." And then announced it would be Hunter versus Taker versus Chyna. Hunter starts to laugh, says Chyna's just a girl. She could get hurt. This is no place for a woman. And Chyna yanks the mic away and said she'd take the shot and told Hunter to try her. She stormed to the back.
God, it's like the women's evolution all over again 19 years ago.
Is that what it is?
It is exactly what it is.
Okay.
Hunter said she could get hurt. This is no place for a woman. And she's appalled. Just a woman? Try me.
So they were still bickering after the break. Kane and X-Pac versus the Acolytes. Boy, when Farouk hit Pac with a spine buster for the
Good
heat.
God.
Oh my.
I was bored again, though.
All this wrestling.
All this wrestling here on this show. With, yes, a screw job finish.
Let's see. Kane yanks Brett. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Kane yanks Bradshaw out of the ring. One guy in the match yanking out another guy in the match.
Bradshaw, I guess, yeah.
And X-Pac
Who's
hits
in the
Farouk
match?
with an X Factor and pins him.
Yeah, it was clean. Look at that. Hey, I liked it.
And I wrote here
Read
your,
my notes back.
your basic 3-minute tag match, but a huge pop for the finish.
Yeah, we had a clean finish and a babyface win.
Amazing.
That's 2 in 1.
X-Pac tells the crowd Kane has 2 words for them, but he will not let Kane use the voice box gimmick this week. At this point, the future mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, growled, "Suck it."
Sounds exactly the same. There's just no buzz in
It
that
actually
thing.
does.
Machine.
Everyone cheers. Road Dogg is out there partying with them, the ultimate third wheel. And then Taker and Kane just appear and beat them all up, or Taker and Big Show. I think I made that mistake like 5 times. Taker and Big Show appear and lay out everyone again. So way to go, Road Dogg.
You know what I do? I got to give them credit for one thing back here in 1999. If this were 2019, what is it, 2018, whatever year it is, and they debuted a Kane, or they had a Kane that used a voice gimmick, and he'd used it a couple of times, one day he'd just show up and not use it.
Right.
At least in 1999, like, they got rid of Michael Hayes, and so they wrote him off. They're getting rid of this voice box gimmick, so they wrote it off. They actually did an angle. Like, they actually do angles to get rid of stuff that they're not going to do anymore. Nowadays, it just stops. Lana's accent's just gone. No, it would take 5 seconds for an announcer to go, you know, she's been in this country now for 8 years, and fuck, she's got the language down.
I would hope that'd be their exact words.
That's all it would take. Instead, she just doesn't have it anymore.
GTV shows Mr. Ass getting a massage. He demanded that special herbs be put on his ass.
Yeah. Then she put on a rubber glove.
He was appalled.
So, okay, the upside of this is Mr. Ass...
Please.
Upshot.
I'd love to hear.
Okay, poor choice of words. The end result of all this is that Mr. Ass gets poison ivy rubbed on his buttocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why did the masseuse have a bowl of poison ivy sitting by her massage
Well,
table?
we don't know if it was poison ivy. It was just something that he was allergic to.
Now, maybe The Rock.
Could have been any
it was gonna
herb.
happen, and he did a little switcheroo.
It was sabotaged.
Sure.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Okay. That's a better explanation than I have.
I think he was just allergic to this herb.
Huh.
I don't think.
I'm going to stop thinking about this
I
now.
don't think Mr. Ass is allergic to the herb.
I know.
I didn't say the herb. I
I'm
said
taking away one bad joke, Greg.
this herb.
That was a good one. Joey Abs and Steve Blackman versus Ken Shamrock and Test. So the announcers casually claim Test has now broken Pete Gas's neck and Rodney's arm.
His neck.
That's what they said.
His neck. That's what they said, Brian.
Dude, that's serious.
Yeah.
Yes. He's a monster.
I didn't know he broke his neck.
Test needs to be stopped.
I thought he
He's
broke
a
like
menace.
his arm or his leg.
So let's see. Shane attacks Test, at least to nothing. The match just continues. Shane grabs a chair. Shamrock canes it back into his face. He chases Blackman away. Test pins Abs with a doctor bomb.
Yeah, by the way, Vinny was not, that was not a, he did not misspeak.
No.
A guy had a metal folding chair that he was wielding,
Right.
and another man hit it with a stick, which caused it to go into his own face.
Right.
Physically impossible, but they made it work.
That's some power.
So then Test, after winning, starts Pillmanizing Joey Abs' ankle over and over again. Shane is right. I would move heaven and earth to stop this monster from dating my sister.
All I know is this fucking sucked. First we had Shane on commentary. He's horrendous. Then, the only thing worse than Shane McMahon on commentary is Shane McMahon throwing mounted punches.
Yes.
Even worse. Joey Abs was terrible in this match. Just sucked. This is horrible.
Speaking of horrible, Mr. Ass chases the women out of the makeup area, shows the rash on his ass, and then declares he's not a pervert. Cole interviews Test. Test calls the posse butt sniffers.
He used the terms biatch and butt sniffers.
And he
This was so hideous.
makes fun of them for whining about their broken bones.
Yes.
We're supposed to cheer for this idiot.
Between the Test promo and the following Steve Blackman promo,
Oh, this.
this was the bottom of the barrel. There's nothing below this.
So, Red Rooster is interviewing Steve Blackman. And the camera's sort of to their side, but they're facing each other. And the camera's sort of to their side, but actually a little bit shooting Blackman's back, believe it or not. And until the last two words of this promo, he's quiet, he's monotone, he's wooden, he's emotionless. I want Shamrock in a Lion's Den match with weapons hanging from the cage. This has to end one way or another!
Well, the reason he screamed was because he botched his line about how this needs to end one way or the other. He stumbled over himself, and so to save it, he screamed as loud as he could.
I guess.
This was terrible.
I was laughing my ass off.
Terrible.
Hey, you know who's better at promos?
Right.
The Rock. The Rock comes out for a promo. It's awesome. He challenges Show to a match tonight and things are going great. But then the Millennium Clock appears and the last few seconds count down.
Everybody's chanting Jericho.
There were way, way, way more Jericho chants than I remember.
Yes, they knew.
The word got out. So I'm assuming that everyone listening to this knows how this goes. But we're here, so I'll describe it. It's Chris Jericho's debut, everyone. He is the Millennium Man.
His music hits. The word Jericho appears on the screen. The place just goes absolutely batshit crazy for this. An all-time great debut moment. Prepare for years of them fucking him up. If you recall, it's literally years of fucking him up.
It was all downhill from here for a long time.
Yes.
He had a program with Chyna.
Even including as a world champion, they fucked him up.
Dude, they fucked him up the worst when he was a world champion.
So yes, Raw is now Jericho. He introduces himself. He is our new hero, the most charismatic figure to ever grace our TV screen. Raw, he says, has become a boring snooze fest. TV ratings, pay-per-view buy rates, mainstream press, and crowd reactions all hitting rock bottom.
Actually, talking about WCW.
May have been. He literally buries everyone on the roster. Says nobody cares about them, including Rock. He dubs himself Y2J and says the company will never be the same again. Correct. That is factually correct.
The 3 months off sure did him good. He put on about 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Looked in great shape.
Got a new shirt.
Sure.
Got a new shirt. Frankly, he would get newer, fancier gear decades down the road. But
This was nowhere near the greatest Chris Jericho promo.
no,
But man, the fans, they just ate it up.
they absolutely loved Chris Jericho. And then it was even better because they absolutely loved The Rock more.
Well, and he turned him.
He's The Rock.
No, I'm talking about Jericho. He
I see.
Buried the fans.
Now that helped.
Total heel promo. They figured out they were supposed to boo the guy.
Yeah.
When he wrote about this in his book, he buried himself and said this was a horrible. He wasn't happy with the way it turned out. I thought it was great.
The angle turned out great, but he's not wrong. It was not a great promo. He's had so many good promos. He's such a good talker. This one was fine. It was acceptable.
The bigger issue was here, and then even more in his ongoing promos, was he kept burying people left and right, and the burials he was giving were pointing out actual weaknesses that these guys had. So,
Well, you're right, but
everyone on the roster legitimately hated him for a while.
I mean, hello, The Rock. It's the exact same thing.
Well, that's also
he
true.
fucking buried the Big Show.
Yeah. So anyway, Rock threatens to beat Jericho's ass, and everyone's cheering by the end.
How dare you, little jabroni, he says. An all-time classic line.
His music plays, The Rock's music plays. Jericho's left flustered that his debut has been spoiled by this man in the ring, out-talking him. This is a historic, legendary, famous moment, and when you go back and watch it 2 decades later, it comes off like a historic, legendary, famous moment.
It was an all-time classic moment.
It's amazing.
It was great. It was awesome.
And then we go to Bob Holly looking for Big Show. So to recap, Steve Blackman, Chris Jericho and The Rock, Bob Holly. No wonder they look so good.
Oh, no, Vinny. It's actually Joey Abs in a bad match.
Yeah,
Billy Gunn has a rash on his ass.
all of this too.
Rock walks to the ring. Test does a promo. Blackman does a promo. Then Y2J. And then Bob Holly's looking for the Big Show.
And as I wrote here about Bob Holly, and they showed him, much like Michael Cole saying the same thing before and after the break.
Yes.
He opens the show door. You see Big Show? Tell him the Big Shot's looking for him, or whatever. And as I wrote here, fuck you and fuck this shit.
Wow.
No payoff to this.
Good.
Yeah, there was. No, there wasn't.
Chyna was sitting on just
Wrong blonde jabroni ran in later. Sure. Confused.
was sitting on a hideous couch, lacing up her boots.
Yeah. Did you notice what she was wearing earlier in the show?
It looked like
Same
wrestling
thing.
gear.
Apparently she went backstage, took off her gear,
Sure.
and put it back on.
As one does.
That does remind me of the hardcore match I did with Buddy
Yes.
many years ago, where we went to the building, and it was going to be a street fight. So he went to the locker room, he took off his jeans, he put on another pair of jeans, he went out and had his match, came back, took those jeans off, and put his other jeans back on.
Yeah.
Well, he has his working jeans.
I guess he does. I just wore my street clothes.
Probably to the home. Probably a home on the ride too.
I did.
Yeah. Showed up in it. Left in it.
Yes, it's a fucking street fight. I'm old school.
No shower.
I showed up in I wrestled in what I showed up in.
Come as you are, Craig.
Exactly.
And apparently leave as you are as well.
Leave as you are.
Yes.
Stay as you are.
I won. I was never taking that outfit off. I'm wearing those jeans right now.
They're rolled up and cuffed. 3 times.
They're rolled up.
Big Boss Man versus Road Dogg. So, Boss Man's hardcore champion, but this is a non-title hardcore match.
Dude, at that point I was done with the show. A non-title hardcore match?
Yep.
With the hardcore champion. So they hit each other in the head over and over again. Boss Man powerbombed him through a table. Al Snow runs out with a dog carrier. They claim Pepper is inside the dog carrier. He hits Boss Man with a dog carrier. Road Dogg gets the pin. Well, this sucked.
A non-title hardcore match is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in wrestling. Not to mention, Big Show or whoever, Boss Man, his opponent's the Road Dogg. Mm-hmm. He's not qualified to fight for the hardcore title unless he wins a match against the champion first. He's a fucking multi-time hardcore champion.
That's right.
He's the best one they had.
I don't have any answers.
Stupid.
Rock versus Big Show. So either Show is getting bigger or his trunks are getting smaller.
I was right. Bob Holly came down here. There was a payoff.
Either way, Ben.
Okay.
I would argue that Bob Holly showing up is not a payoff. It's a
Well,
pun-
he was looking for the guy,
it's a
and he
punishment.
found him.
I would rather he just knocked him out.
Vinny, that's the payoff. He was looking for him.
You're right.
He found him.
I apologize.
Payoff.
I would prefer he just kept looking.
Payoff isn't necessarily good. You should know.
You also am taking away a bad joke for that line. So they wrestle for 2 minutes. Bob Holly comes out, gets in Show's face. Rock hits a low blow and a DDT. He's going with the people's elbow. Jericho attacks him for the DQ, and then Mr. Ass follows. He lays Rock out with a jackhammer and then stops to rub his itchy butt. So at this point, I determined this whole Billy Gunn thing has been a rib on Billy Gunn for this whole year.
Sure.
Now we realize it's a rib on The Rock.
It's a rib on us.
That too. But they're deliberately going out of their way to make Rock's opponent the biggest geek in the entire company to see if Rock can somehow save it.
I wish they'd never done that.
I as well.
Because he did.
He did.
And they learned a lesson they haven't forgotten for 19 years. But they learned it wrong.
Yeah. Triple H versus Chyna versus Undertaker with Jesse Ventura on commentary and Shawn Michaels in those shorts as special ref.
I wrote almost those exact same words.
Well, it's what happened.
It is those shorts.
Jesse was so great on commentary.
His
voice is phenomenal. His cadence is perfect.
It's like he's done it before.
He's enthusiastic. He's knowledgeable. He's funny. He's invested in these characters and these storylines. He was so good. They tried to keep Chyna's involvement limited in this match, but that just meant every time she raised her head, Taker was manhandling her and taking her out again. Let's see. Taker goes to chokeslam Hunter. Chyna hits a low blow on both of them, I guess. Yeah.
Let's talk a little more about Jesse here first. He's very much about how important the World Championship Wrestling match at SummerSlam will be. They're doing this match, and at one point, Chyna hits a flying knee on Undertaker, goes for the cover, but it gets broken up. And Lawler, actually it was Hunter that covered Chyna. Lawler goes, I can't believe that Hunter covered Chyna. Jesse Ventura just says, it's for a shot at the title! Hello?
Yes.
I'm sure he covered delay that night.
You mean, hey. Yeah, Jesse gets it. He's the only guy who gets it.
I'm trying to point out the importance of this title, Craig, and you're making sexual innuendos?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Jesse Ventura would be disgusted.
Hey, why is it when Chyna is delivering stomps to a downed opponent, she looks like she's having an epileptic seizure?
Because she sucked?
She wasn't a very good wrestler, Craig.
Have you seen her when she stomps and she flails her arms? It's
She was not a very good wrestler, Craig.
okay.
How many times do you want me to say this? So eventually, Chyna and Hunter are outside. Austin appears in the big screen, storming around with a chair. He comes down, just waffles Hunter in the head with a chair, and puts Chyna on top. And the ref counts 3, and Chyna is now the top contender for Austin's title.
This was one of those things that I had completely forgotten.
Yep.
But then the moment it happened, I completely remembered.
As I recall, this title shot bounces around for a while.
Yes. Yes.
I should hope so.
Way to kill the main event of SummerSlam by doing that. But hey, I like this show.
It was a fun show.
This was a great episode of Raw.
Jesse was great, and Jericho's debut was, in fact, historic.
Yeah, it was a good show. As was Nitro.
After you play Vinny's music.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a race now.
It is. It is. I'm going to play this one.
The finishes on this show were pin after distraction and blood in the eyes, pin after failed distraction, clean pin for the tag titles, I guess clean pin in a very chaotic tag match, pin after interference in a hardcore match, DQ after distraction and interference and then a post-match attack, and finally pin after interference in a hardcore match.
Excellent report, Vinny. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where was I?
We're about to talk about Nitro.
Okay. You know what I noticed about this Nitro show? It is also 3 hours long. Vinny, you no longer watch Raw, but the modern Raw feels way longer than these 3 hour Nitros.
That's true.
I have no idea why. I guess because there's so many things that happen on Nitro.
In Nitro, they will say, hey, let's do a 12-minute match.
Well, not only that, but also ICP is here. Lash LaRue.
There are
Norman Smiley.
There are new things every week. And new
Yeah.
faces. Yeah.
The return of Public Enemy. Miss Mona and Little Jeannie. I mean, like, there's so much weird shit on this show. And so many different people that can come out and keep it somewhat interesting, even if it sucks.
The funny thing, too, is on Modern Raw, you do get those 12-minute matches, and for some reason, they just...
It's the same one every week.
It's the same one.
It's the exact same people doing the exact same style of matches.
And they have trained you to know that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who wins. The result of this match is irrelevant. So there's no reason you should care about the match itself.
Who wrestles like Public Enemy nowadays? Who wrestles like ICP? Who wrestles like Saturn? Who wrestles like Benoit? Everyone I just mentioned wrestles completely differently. Who wrestles like Canyon? Nobody. You could run down the goddamn Raw roster. They all wrestle like each other.
They are cookie cutters.
Yes, there's nobody on that show. The only two people that are different on that show are Brock Lesnar, who's never there.
Sure.
And Ronda Rousey, who's been there for...
She's done one match on the show.
8 months, and she's had one match on Raw.
Yeah.
Everybody else, exactly the same.
Even Strowman, who is a little different,
is exactly the same.
So, Monday Night Show number 203, also August 9th, 1999.
Shivani's back.
Tony Schiavone is back, no explanation.
They literally brought Scott Hudson in just to have Rick Steiner beat him up.
They killed Scott Hudson, that's why he's back.
And the kid from the Wonder Years must have got lost.
Good.
God.
This opener. Norman Smiley, Prince Iaukea, and Lash LaRue versus Vampiro and the Insane Clown Posse.
You better not bury this, Vinny. No. You kidding me?
I had a really awful failed pro wrestling career. About 120 matches, maybe a dozen were any good. I had all sorts of humiliation in front of paying crowds in between the ropes. I don't think anything that happened to me in a ring was as embarrassing as what I watched Prince Iaukea do in this match.
Oh, well, I mean, that's fine.
Prince...
They're going to bury the clown.
No! In fact, as I shared via Twitter...
That's true.
The two best wrestlers in the six-man tag in this particular match were Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope.
I'll give you Violent J. I'm not sure about Shaggy.
I actually watched because Shaggy has a history of not being as good as Jay. But Shaggy here was certainly, if nothing else, tied for second.
Sure.
He didn't. Violent J was actually good. Jay did nothing, or Shaggy did nothing to embarrass himself. So Lash LaRue and Vampiro start. I had to watch this like 10 times, trying to make sense of what happened here, and in the end, I never actually did. So Lash LaRue and Vampiro start, and they wrestle for 20 seconds, and suddenly, Iaukea climbs the top rope and falls into the ring.
That happened.
And Shivani's like, "Oh, there must have been a tag there," and I was like, there must have been a tag there. I let it go on the first time. So now Iaukea is in the ring. Lash looks at him. Vampiro looks at him. He kind of goes over to Iaukea. Iaukea throws a kick. It misses. Vampiro goes down. Lash does a body slam. Vampiro gets up. All three guys look at each other.
Yes. Time stands still.
Iaukea fakes a punch. Lash just starts dancing. Vampiro is just standing there waiting for someone to please hit him so he can go down. And eventually, Lash goes to the corner. He just leaves. And now Iaukea is in the ring. I watched this over and over and over again. I thought at some point I must have missed, like when Lash hit the ropes and Iaukea reached over and tagged himself in. I had no idea what was going on. No, Lash never came within 3 steps of his own corner. What the fuck was Prince Iaukea doing? I have no idea. So, this was just death.
Oh! I'll give you that. But, like, the fans loved this match.
They
loved the clowns.
The clowns, Vampiro and Raven, are now known as the Deadpool.
Yep, they're supposed to be heels, but they're total baby faces.
Yes.
Like, yeah, the baby faces fucking sucked. Okay, they were terrible. But Norman Smiley, the people got into his comeback. I don't even know why.
Because he was doing the big wiggle.
Thank you.
ICP.
Violent J was so good in this match.
Violent J was so good. I'd have a match with Violent J in a fucking heartbeat. He was so good in this match. And then there was the big comeback. It was actually, I will say this. Norman Smiley's reaction was more like Roman Reigns. Like, the entire crowd is screaming something. Like, half of them are cheering, half of them are booing, but they're all going crazy. And then Violent J pins Lash LaRue, who deserved to be beaten in this match, with a moonsault.
Yeah.
And hey,
a top rope moonsault by Violent J.
WCW doing so much better with ICP than WWE did.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Overall, I give this a thumbs up.
It's funny, the ICP and Vampiro have jerseys on with their names on the back. Mm-hmm. some point, Tony gets completely lost, and he refers to Violent J as Jack Jekyll
He did call him Jack Jekyll.
because his name was on the back of the jersey.
Yes.
There was also a point in here during the six-way to end things when they wanted to hit Prince Iaukea with a leg drop. So they throw him into the ring, and he rolls to his belly. And Jay goes in there to roll them back to his back, but he rolls back to his belly. Now they're legit fighting as Jay's trying to stay on your fucking back and take this goddamn leg drop. I don't know if Prince Iaukea was on some sort of illicit substance here, but for his sake, I hope so. Because if he did this sober, my God.
He's on some of that herb.
Yeah.
The Revolution meets with Dusty Rhodes backstage.
Oh, God.
So,
Dean fucking Malenko does the talking. Dean! Dusty, I want to know if there is going to be a change. Will we be getting opportunities? I'm like, you've gotten fucking so many opportunities, and it's been terrible every time you've been in the ring.
Who passed away and put Dusty in charge?
This is something new that happened like on Thunder.
well, here's the
Dusty
thing.
is now in charge of the championship
Yes.
committee.
So I let's see here. I did it at the end. Dusty's head of the championship committee. Piper is commissioner. Sting is president. And Eric Bischoff and J.J. Dillon are still walking around with some kind of executive titles.
Yeah, this sucks.
Bureaucracy.
There is... Oh, my gosh.
Dusty says you guys are going to get an opportunity, but once you get it, you're going to have to prove yourselves. This storyline does not age well at all.
I like when Dean says we're not getting any younger, and then Dusty calls them the youth of the industry.
Yes. Well, Paisley's not getting any younger.
I suppose that's technically true, yeah. So David Flair walks by and runs his mouth, and Benoit puts him in the crossface, and eventually they pull him off, and Dusty books a Benoit-David U.S. title match for tonight.
Yeah, I love that Benoit, some asshole's being a dick, and so he doesn't punch him, chop him, slap him, puts him in a crossface on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Bad idea in a bar fight.
Well, here, David had no backup.
That's true.
He had Torrie Wilson.
Some fine backup, by the way.
Public Enemy versus Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham.
They're just back.
Yeah, they just came back this week. I mean, they've been being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, so you may as well do something with them.
This is the debut, I believe, of the Good Old Boys music.
Yes, Rap Is Crap was getting over, and so they had to get rid of it and give them Good Old Boys, which is still over. Fans are going nuts for this match.
Yes.
They were going crazy for this match. That's when I knew I must open a promotion in Boise.
There was a point in this match when the Idaho fans were chanting, "Redneck suck."
Yeah.
You been to Idaho? You know what they got?
I've driven through quickly.
Yeah, they got some rednecks. So Johnny Grunge in this match may have been less incompetent than Prince Iaukea was in the opener. He threw
Less incompetent or more?
more incompetent. Speaking of incompetence, hey everyone, it's me. Johnny Guns threw a terrible spin kick. He looked totally incapable of running the ropes, and he's in there with Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham. I can only imagine what they were thinking about this. Enemy makes their comeback. They actually put Barry Windham through a table.
Yes.
I was stunned.
Well, they put him through a table, and then the bell rings.
Yeah.
Because the timing was so awful that none of the cameras caught anything that happened.
No.
The announcers at ringside didn't see it. They can't explain it. They're like,
Kurt Hennig pinned Johnny Grunge.
yes.
I can confirm that.
And the announcers go, Grunge was getting in and caught in the ropes. There is a redneck fleeing.
Yes.
So, like, somebody hit him with something.
I suspect somebody used a bull rope or a cowbell
Yes.
or something. But
Yes.
I can't really tell.
Yes,
No.
it was a cowbell.
I describe this as an unholy mess.
Yeah, but it was hot.
It was super hot.
And Hennig is loving this like nothing else.
That is true.
He's having the time
Yes.
of his life. I also loved, he gets in the ring at the beginning of the match. He does his little dance. He goes to get on the middle rope and he has to grab the rope again. And then he celebrates. He didn't give a shit. Happy as a clam.
Little Jeannie versus Mona in a match that actually happened on Nitro.
Yeah, so little Jeannie apparently had wrestled Mona on Thunder or something. Or no, the other girl that ran in.
Brandy
later.
Alexander.
Yeah. I can only presume that little Jeannie was one of Miss Mona's trainees.
All right.
Because Miss Mona had a school, and she was helping teach, I guess, George how to wrestle
Okay.
for that match with Charles Robinson.
Right.
So I presume that she had a school because little Jeannie has like 8 matches that we have records for.
Yes.
Every single one of them against Miss Mona.
Okay, well, there you go.
No other opponents.
Yeah.
So, yes, they probably practiced this match 1,000 times. It's totally fine.
It was... Dude, the wrestling they did in this match, Jesse Ventura would have loved this.
Yes.
After watching Prince Iake and Johnny Grunz, this is like Nick Bockwinkel and Vern Gagne. So they had a perfectly fine TV match. Mona finishes her off with a handspring elbow, a bulldog, and then an Indian deathlock into a cradle. And, well, I now know, but I at the time, I had no idea where Jeannie came from or whatever happened to her, but she looked totally fine at her. So it's kind of weird, honestly. She never did anything else.
Well, because she was her student, and they probably practiced this match 9,000 times move for move.
Yeah.
So every time they wrestled, they probably did this exact same match.
I see. So Brandy Alexander, as noted, runs out to attack Mona. She gets her ass kicked and she bails. And this is like watching another promotion's match in the middle of Nitro.
Yes.
Because like a whole division that we haven't heard of or seen before.
We were suddenly watching the AWA.
Yeah.
This match presented by Vern Gagne.
It may have been. It was fun. I liked it.
It was fun. Oh my God. Hogan.
So
I must describe this, okay?
Okay.
If you're not aware, by the way, video.f4wonline.com, we try not to do stuff only for video, but like, there's no other way to describe this. Hogan's going to be coming down to the ring for an interview. So for some reason, they've never done this before. They start filming Hogan backstage. And so Hogan starts walking through the little backstage deal, and he's about to come out on the ramp. And suddenly, right before he comes out on the ramp, he stops and he starts doing this hilariously comical calisthenic workout.
That's from Hindus.
Wasn't he? Maybe it was Hindus, but he's like going, ugh. He's like going like this weird fucking thing. And all of a sudden, you just see this fist go, BAM! Fucking hit him right in the head and he falls down. Out comes Sid, Steiner, and Nash. I watched this so many times. Between Hogan's warm-up, he has to warm up before he comes out on the ramp.
Sure.
This fucking fist coming out of nowhere. It looked like it hit him right in the face. Hogan taking this big-ass bump, and then these three monsters coming out. This was great.
You're ignoring entirely the first part of this,
Yes.
which is the camera cuts backstage. There's a hallway. You hear some producer or somebody saying, "Hogan, you're up." And suddenly there's young Nick.
That's right.
And Nick Hogan goes into his father's dressing room where before his Hindus, Hogan's doing push-ups. And Nick says, "Dad, I packed these for you." And he pulls out the red and yellow gear.
Oh,
And Hogan looks at it and he pauses. But then there's that producer, "Hulk, we gotta go." He tells Nick, "Just hang on to this." And he gives Nick the gear. And Nick is so sad. And he hangs his head. He wanted to see his daddy in the old gear right now.
Did you notice he didn't call his son brother?
He did not call his son brother. Then Hogan, because he's late, you see, had to go running down the hallway. Who were we just talking about the other show when they said you can't run at all?
Kane. I said he lumbered.
Kane is
He actually could run.
much more better runner than Hogan at this point.
Yes.
I felt so bad for Hulkster. And then everything else happened, like you said. The heels were hiding the other side of the curtain. And once he got within striking range, they pounced. They beat him up.
I punched myself so hard in the headphones, by the way. I just want everyone to know.
They beat him up. They drag him down to the ring. Sting and Goldberg make the save. Like, they run down. They chase the bad guys away. And then suddenly, Hogan fires up. He jumps up. He tears off his shirt. He's firing up the crowd. He gets a promo saying this business is his life, and he vows to retire if Kevin Nash beats him in Sturgis. He challenges them to a six-man tonight. Nash quickly accepts. Sting says, "Hey, if we win this six-man tonight, then you, Kevin Nash, should also put your career on the line at Sturgis." Goldberg says, "Steiner, you got nothing to put on the line, so you should put your ass on the line."
That was a good line.
Goldberg, everyone. So Nash vows Saturday night will be the end of his career. He says he has been waiting to finish off Hogan for 3 years. No. You've been friends with him for 3 years. You laid down for him 7 months ago. Last month, you helped him win the title. You've been doing jack shit to get him out of this business for 3 years. Don't lie to me.
That's all been a plot.
I fucking hate this story.
There's a lot of bad stories in wrestling.
Not like this, dude. This alleged long simmering hatred between Hogan and Nash when they've been best pals for the vast majority of that time. Anyway, everyone runs their mouths for a while. No one adds anything new. David Flair versus Chris Benoit. So David comes out with the lovely Tori Wilson.
Oh, was she ever?
She was so lovely. And she's wearing this halter top that's cut down to here, and her breasts are hanging out everywhere. And Bobby Heenan says, "Wow, what a beautiful hat."
Yeah. Then she turns around. She's got a skirt that's basically a belt.
Yeah.
And she starts walking up the steps, and he goes, "Look at the back of that hat."
He's awesome. He's amazing. So Nick Patrick runs out, and he ejects Charles Robinson because Ric Flair is no longer in charge. David no longer gets his own personal ref. So Charles Robinson leaves. We have been very, very harsh on David Flair, really every time he's ever been on TV. Mm-hmm. He packed more charisma into the ensuing 3 minutes than he has shown in his first 2 decades of life.
Let me tell you something. This was the first time that I watched David Flair, and I thought, okay, it's going to be a while. He needs to get off national television. Sure. He needs to, like, go to Japan, work some other promotions, but, like, he fucking could really be something in this business. This is the first time I ever thought that. His reaction to everything that happened in the first couple of minutes of this match, it was so good. And then the match started, and he had to wrestle. It sucked.
Mm-hmm. Well, even then.
This was not as good as last week.
No.
But it was still very enjoyable.
It sure was.
I don't know why I don't remember this more. I certainly remember last week's match.
Last one was longer.
Yeah, but like this one actually had a finish, which is funny. They're doing this match, and David tries to flee. The Revolution or whatever throws him back in the ring. Fans are chanting pussy at this guy. Benoit's beating his ass. Suddenly, they cut to the ramp, and Kanyon is running to the ring. What was he doing?
He was running to the ring. Apparently, I don't know if he was late because he was... They kind of had to wait for him to not break up the pin, but he's running and running and running.
He is sprinting to the ring. Revolution goes to stop him.
Yes.
Chris Benoit goes up top. He hits the diving headbutt. The ref counts 1. The ref counts 2. Benoit lifts David up. The ref counts 3.
Is that what happened?
Then DDP breaks it up.
Aha.
I was like, what the fuck just happened right there? And, of course, who's the fucking referee? Nick Patrick. Mm-hmm. The most incompetent referee in the history of this business. I think that DDP was supposed to break up the pin, but he was too late. Mm-hmm. Benoit tried to lift David up so that they could do whatever finish they were going to do. Nick Patrick is just a fucking idiot, so he just counted anyway. And so that was the end of the match.
Benoit's U.S. champion now.
I presume that whatever they were going to do, Benoit was still going to end up the champion because they did all of the build for the championship match at Sturgis, like immediately afterwards. Mm-hmm. But I'm virtually positive this wasn't the finish.
That's entirely possible. Have we mentioned the point in here where Benoit chopped David and David sold this like a marionette whose strings had just been cut?
That's how he sells all his chops. Did it last week, too.
This one was spectacular. Both arms on one leg go high in the air and then just folds.
Yeah, he sucked.
No, it was awesome.
But he had some charisma.
It was tremendous. So yeah, Benoit's the U.S. champion and he's facing DDP for the title at Sturgis.
Yes, he cut a promo. He said, Paige, if you want this belt, come get it. No DQ in Sturgis. I'll kick your ass.
He did say, ass.
There's no way he improvised that promo because he accidentally won the title.
Right.
Like he had to have ended up with the belt.
Remember when we started and talked about how cool it was in here?
Yeah.
It's not now.
No.
Randy Savage came out for a promo. He says Gorgeous George is not there. He will bring her back after he beats Dennis Rodman at Sturgis. He then unveils his hit list. Kevin Nash. Sid Vicious, who has been holding hands with Kevin Nash. Hollywood Hogan, and finally Dennis Rodman. He says Rodman has put his hands on Gorgeous George and now, quote, you will die.
Yeah.
He says this, and then Gene pulls back the microphone and says, well, you're being politically correct here.
No, he said, I don't know if you're trying to be politically correct.
He's just threatened murder.
Kill this man.
You will die, were his words.
Okay, so you're skipping a few things here, Vinny. When Randy Savage first comes out, Randy Savage has got a surprise. Gene says, what's the surprise? Savage says, first I've got a hit list. Kevin Nash, Sid Vicious, Hollywood Hogan, and Dennis Rodman. I'm the baddest dude on the planet. Rodman put his hands on George, now he's going to die. Gene makes his comment and then says, what's the surprise? Savage says, the surprise is that Dennis Rodman's reputation compared to mine is crap. That's it.
That's what I missed.
Gene asked 3 fucking times what the surprise was. And the payoff was that Dennis Rodman's reputation compared to Macho Man's is crap. That was the big surprise.
That was the big surprise.
And that's literally the end of the interview.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at that at all.
It was a rib on you 19 years ago.
I'm just sitting there waiting for the surprise. What could it be?
Dave Taylor and Chris Adams versus Rey Mysterio Jr. and Eddie Guerrero. This was the point where I determined they should never leave Idaho.
Yeah, but what was up with Ray and Adams? They were botching stuff left and right.
This was not a very good match.
No.
But the crowd loved it anyway, which is why I determined...
Ballistic.
Yeah. If they will cheer for a match this sloppy, never go away.
I love that they're chanting USA, USA at Taylor and Adams.
Well, Ray's from San Diego.
Sure.
Eddie's from El Paso.
Yeah, but still.
They're not marketed that way, but it's true. So, yes.
Well, the other guys definitely aren't from the USA.
The other guys are waving a foreign flag.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, for 30 seconds or so, Dave Taylor and Eddie Guerrero were awesome, and then it quickly fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
And guys were lost, guys were out of position, none of it mattered, the crowd went apeshit for everything. Even the finish. The finish is Ray will do a top rope rana on Adams, and Eddie with the frog splash. Adams ends up very, very, very far away, and Eddie looks out yonder at this Englishman far away, and he's, oh, fuck. And he jumped as far as he could to get this guy, and I guess he got there and didn't kill anyone.
He literally jumped across the pond.
He did. And he pinned him. So the crowd loved that. A total home run here, as sloppy as it was. Vampiro and the Clowns run out and attack Ray and Eddie, and then Kidman makes the save.
Yep. Crowd was hot.
They sure were.
Segment was hot.
Kidman versus Disco Inferno.
Disco Inferno. 4 days. Nothing from Disco Inferno.
Oh, is there a challenge to be his
I'm
partner?
being completely
Or your partner?
ignored.
Yeah. He's shunning you.
I think
Dude.
I literally think I have his phone number.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Okay.
Please tell me it's like 1-800.
If I call that number and no one answers. Yeah, Ryan in Cumberland said he used to talk to Disco on the phone all the time. What? Ryan from Cumberland can contact Disco Inferno, and I can't.
I don't know what to tell you. So there was a point earlier in this match. I believe this is the exact moment, or this spot. Kidman tweeted this out recently. But the heat is Disco grabs Kidman and throws him over the top ropes, and Kidman goes flying out of the ring and hits the floor and explodes. And I believe it was this exact moment that Kidman, somebody else retweeted it, like History of Wrestling or whatever. And Kidman retweets it and says, for some reason, when I was young, I actually enjoyed doing stuff like this. And he said, I don't know what was wrong with me. So,
Yeah.
now, they were actually doing a hell of a job as Kidman, as I noted, he exploded here. And he went from virtually dead to hanging by a thread to fighting for his life to treading water to actually making a comeback. It was all very, very good build. And then he goes up for the shooting star press, and the Deadpool run out and attack for the DQ.
Oh, another bullshit finish.
Yes.
Announcers spent a lot of this match discussing how handsome Disco Inferno was. Very handsome man, says Bobby. Tony says, I guess he's handsome in his own way. What does that mean? I guess he's handsome in his own way? Maybe I need to put over how handsome he is, and he'll get back to me.
You should try.
He's a very handsome man. Hey, you know what? He looks great for his age. Am I wrong?
No, he's in great shape.
He's a handsome man.
That's right.
Very muscular. Good hair. Strong chin. Powerful nose.
You should hope so.
Yes.
So they're beating up Kidman. Disco tries to actually save, but they beat him up too. And then Eddie and Ray run out to clean house.
Then it was just bizarre.
It was
It
weird.
sure was. What got into Ray this night?
Well, they clear the ring, and then Disco extends his hand.
Offers a handshake.
I want a handshake. So they look at his hand,
Raise a hug.
and Kidman raises his hand for the high five. Ray jumps up to hug him, and then Disco's like, nah, I'm out of here. He
was
walked
like-
away.
He was willing to shake hands, but he's not a hugger. He doesn't want to hug Ray. And he was,
Kidman went to high five him. He didn't want to do that either.
I didn't even notice that part. I just noticed Ray.
Yeah, it was
I
weird.
thought Ray was tackling him.
yes.
It was somebody's wires got seriously crossed here. There was somewhere in here also, by the way, he started talking about, I've been around Hulk Hogan a long time. I don't think he's ever put his career on the line before. There have been dozens of times, everyone, when Hulk Hogan has put his career on the line. Sometimes I'm pretty sure for house shows. Buff Bagwell versus Scott Norton. Vicious and Delicious explodes.
Yes.
Oh, so sad. Apparently, I'm the only one who noticed. The wrestlers didn't acknowledge each other. The announcer said nothing.
No, God, I didn't even notice.
Yeah. So they wrestled a few
I was
minutes.
just pissed off.
At the match?
I just knew that Shat was going to come out. It just never, ever ends.
Cat comes out in his red dancing shoes. Sonny Ono, I guess for Road Wild, has a leather jacket and hat.
Yeah, biker.
Yeah. So Buff's comeback is hip tosses. Like he's been in wrestling school for a week. Cat pulls the ref out of the ring. Sonny hits Buff with a briefcase. Buff still kicks out. Now Cat and Sonny are both in the ring, and Norton lariats Cat, and Buff blockbusters Sonny. The ref calls for the bell, and then it is determined that Buff wins via DQ. That's bullshit. This is not Norton's fault. And in fact, they were in his way too.
I didn't pay any attention to this. I wrote, this was fucking wretched. Worst thing on the show by far. No idea what the point of any of this was. Am I mistaken?
No. The Nitro girls and their pointy nipples danced.
Okay.
Booker T versus Canyon.
Clearly, it's colder in there than it is in here.
It must have been.
I'm telling you.
I'm going to solve that problem. Ah, hear that? Air just turned on. Go ahead.
So Harlem Heat crazy over in Boise. Bigelow and Page left. Stevie Ray stayed at ringside, which should have been a sign, actually. He was openly interfering, throwing Canyon back in the ring and stuff. So, match is an extended squash. Booker takes 90% of it. Then the ref gets bumped. The Triad return. They lay out Stevie Ray, and Canyon hits Booker with a belt and follows with a flatliner for the win.
Made sense leading into the pay-per-view. It was fine.
Title match is already signed. Mean Gene brings Dennis Rodman out for a promo.
Allow me. My favorite thing on this show of late. Keep in mind, we've already seen this match.
Yes.
Gene brings out Dennis Rodman, who's 15 feet tall, dressed in a trench coat, stuff in his face.
Everything's pierced.
He's got this big-ass hat on.
Tackle box exploded into his face.
So, the first thing I notice is Gene's holding the mic.
Yeah.
After last week. Dennis Rodman mumbles that he loves Idaho. He says the reason George is in her lock and key is because all the ladies, including George, come after him. Fans begin to boo. Dennis says, Gene, give me that mic. He snatches...
Up to this point, because Gene's holding the mic here, and Rodman's talking, and sometimes he'll turn over here and talk, and sometimes he'll come back here, and sometimes he'll go here and talk, and he figured it out himself and took the mic away.
No. That's not why. He grabbed the mic because he wanted to grab the mic and not have Gene pull it away when he cut his promo.
Aha.
He says, "Would I get done with macho asshole?"
But he came out with, he referred to him as Rando, whatever his name is, Macho Man asshole.
Yes. I'm going to beat his ass. I'm going to take George all up and down Sturgis and prove why she's my bitch. Tony goes, "You better get that mic back, Gene." Gene gets the mic back from him. Randy Savage storms out. He's furious. This guy's called him an asshole on live TV. He's called his woman a bitch. He's all pissed off. They have the geeks come out to separate him. I'm like, I want to see it again. I just watched it.
It wasn't
The
that good.
shit's so good. Rodman with a live mic and Savage with a live mic. It's magic. They're two totally crazy, insane fuckers.
This is the key.
Doing whatever they want.
This is the absolute
and they're
key.
going to get in the ring and do shit together.
Can you imagine trying to script a promo for Dennis Rodman?
I'm sure they fucking tried.
I'm sure they tried.
That's why Gene was there, to lead him through it. Rodman just took that goddamn thing away from him and just went into business for himself. I loved it.
You know, Gene has that rule where you never give up the mic to the wrestler. I don't think he had a choice with that.
No, he just grabbed it and snatched it away from him. Gene, give me that.
And then as this chaos is ensuing and they're trying to stop hell from breaking loose, Tony's like, hey, be sure to watch Dennis Rodman on the Tonight Show.
I loved this. God, I loved it.
Kevin Nash. Oh, by the way, why did Dennis Rodman come out to the NWO theme?
Fuck if I
Was
know.
it a network editing issue?
I think he used to come out to the Voodoo Child,
I see. Yeah.
but so did Hogan, so I...
Well, speaking of music, main event, Kevin Nash, Sid Vicious, and Rick Steiner versus Hulk Hogan, Goldberg, and Sting.
I mean, do we know that Hogan and Rodman are not friends now?
I have no idea.
No, they've never crossed paths.
I have no
since
idea.
He's been back.
Yeah. Goldberg, though, still has the Megadeth music, and that is on the network.
Hey, we missed that Chad Brock concert.
Shucks.
They edited that off, yeah.
Thank God.
Hogan comes out, and he's got the red and yellow on, and American Made is playing.
Dude, when they hit that fucking music, and he came out in this outfit, the hard cam is shaking. That's how crazy. I haven't seen the hard cam shake since like the peak of Stone Cold Steve Austin in like 98 with Mike Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
It's the last time I can remember the hard cam shaking. This fucking guy comes out dressed like it's 1986. The hard cam is shaking. These fans are going absolutely crazy. He's tan. He's jacked. He's got the red and yellow on. He looks great. I had goosebumps.
They had pictures, they had fans with signs, bring back the red and yellow. The fans were very happy, obviously. Everyone's just going ape shit.
And you know what's even better? The fans are going crazy, and all of this insane energy for the return of the red and yellow Hulk Hogan, it transferred into the goddamn wrestling ring.
Absolutely.
This crazy fucker Rick Steiner is bumping all over the place. He's flying around in the air. Sid's taking these giant bumps. Nash is taking these giant bumps.
For 2 or 3 minutes, the Hulkster ran wild and all the heels by himself. He punched them all. He kept bonking their heads together. They kept falling down. And the place is just louder and louder and louder. And finally, they realize, what are we working so hard for? And everything just stops, and the cheering just continues.
Yeah.
And the heels are angry and pouting, at their hands on their hips, and Hogan's pumping up the crowd. The place is louder and louder and louder. Nothing's happening, but everyone's having the time of their lives. Hulk Hogan gets to be a superhero for the first time in 3 years. If you thought Hennig was happy as a cowboy, Hogan as the Hulkster is nothing else. So they do a little bit more stuff. Finally, he tags out, but now he's still the ultimate cheerleader, and it's still all about him, and it should be. It's not a knock on him. Sting goes for a top rope splash. Sid gets the knees up. They get a little bit of heat on him. I'm not sure what they had planned. A turnbuckle got exposed. Nash went to snake eyes Sting into it. The ref gets in the way. Time freezes for a while, and finally Sting just Sting grabs Nash and just throws him into the ref. A chair gets in the ring. Everyone gets hit with it. Sting puts Nash in the Scorpion, and another ref runs down and calls for the bell.
Yeah.
So
Nash was unconscious.
Nash loses the go-home show, and then, a spoiler, loses a Sturgis and retires.
That's right.
Never wrestled again.
Yeah, that was the last time I ever saw him in the ring, if I recall correctly.
So, this was a very fun show. I did think it felt pretty long.
No.
I'm going to give Nash a little
Watch Raw.
No.
Get back to me.
I refuse.
I'm going to give Nash a little bit of credit here. Instead of being the cool heel and being a cocky a-hole, he was actually a bumbling fool, and that's when heels are the best.
Yes, absolutely.
Dude, he wasn't getting over as a cool heel with Hogan out there in the red and yellow. Hogan was so ridiculously over. And then, do you remember the reaction they got for that fucking terrible match at Sturgis?
It was not like this.
Oh my God.
Those bikers.
You'd think that maybe going to Sturgis for free and running a pay-per-view in front of a bunch of bikers outside might be a bad idea. They did it year after year after year after year. Idiots.
Yeah.
This was a great show. I love both of these shows.
The best pair of shows in a long, long,
Yeah,
time.
this felt like the Monday Night Wars were in full effect and they were awesome.
Does anyone have music to play?
I sure do, Vinny. I was waiting. I got it right here.
The finishes on this show were clean pin in a 6-man tag, pin of some sort in a tag match, clean pin in a women's match, clean pin for the U.S. title, clean pin in a tag match, DQ due to juggalos, DQ due to interference, pin after belt shot, and submission after shenanigans in the main event.
You know, there's a website called The Black Vault. It's got a bunch of government documents that have been released through the Freedom of Information Act. And I was up there, and just for the hell of it, I typed in like WWE. Like, what if there's any wrestling documents or whatever? I typed in WWE or wrestling or whatever into the search function. First thing that came up was juggalos. FBI investigating the juggalos.
Yeah.
Man, so those juggalos run in, Vinny. That's serious business.
That's a fair point.
That's the thing.
Yes. All right, quick plug. The Vegas convention is coming up. I shall be there. Vinny will be there.
Mm-hmm.
Craig will
Is this the year, Craig?
No.
not be there.
Will next year be the year?
Rob?
I hope so.
Oh, this guy. It's a flight to Vegas, dude.
Well, that's the problem.
It would have been $99. Like,
The flight to Vegas isn't the problem. The flight home from Vegas is the problem.
why is that any different?
Because my options are right as they are right now. My options are flying out at 6:50 in the morning on Sunday, or 11
not so
o'clock
bad.
at night, getting home at about 2 a.m.
Those are the only 2 flights back from Vegas? Dude.
Those are the only 2 flights that my wife is able to find at the moment. She has promised me she is going to be burning the midnight oils tonight to try and find me a flight, but
Well, Rob will be there, everybody. Fear not. Even if he has to drive straight through with Vinny.
I can't strongly enough recommend not doing that.
Anyway, August 16th through 20th, conjunction with SummerSlam weekend and Super China Buffet Day. We're going to have the usual events, the SummerSlam in a theater airing that Ed is setting up. There's a Las Vegas buffet.
Yes.
There is a banquet, if I recall correctly. There's a suite party.
A live wrestling show this year?
Yeah, there's a live wrestling show.
Sunday night karaoke party?
Girl Power, it's called.
The wrestling show, not the karaoke party.
Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of matches, including, at this point, a handicap match. Myself versus Peach Machine and Mikey G. I am struggling to find a viable partner. Note I said viable partner. For everyone asking, it will not be Wang. Do you understand? Do not buy your ticket expecting to see me team with Wang.
Why would anyone buy a ticket to see Wang?
Now, the good news is I've had multitudes agree to follow me in my journey through various strip clubs to find the Disco Inferno.
Aha.
So, Vinny, if you'd like to jump in on that, you're welcome to do so. That is my goal, myself and Disco.
Chico and the Wang just rolls
It's
right
not
off the
happening,
tongue.
dude. It's not happening. But anyway, that's going to be on Saturday night. And if you go to the
Chico and his Wang.
front page, you don't think I've had every single one of these fucking jokes in class like 80 times?
We haven't. We're not in class.
Dude.
Chico and the Wang. You remember Chico and the Man back in the day?
No, Craig.
No,
So anyway, the entire list of
Thank
events,
you, Rob.
there's a lot of them up here. You can get tickets for all of them. Texas Day Brazil on Friday, the Suite Party, the F4W Super Show, FSW Super Show, and so much more. So make sure you grab your tickets to everything that you want to go to. It's going to be a lot of fun. I and Vinny and Rob will see you there, as well as everybody else joining us in the Empire. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So check that out. And that is it, everybody. We will talk to you again after a while.
Good night.
Adios.